nearing the end, which is nice. So just as like a point of update, there are two more books on the would read again list, which is this book and a book called Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. And then there are three more on the wouldn't read again list. Although one of the books on the wouldn't read again list, for some reason I can't get past page 22. So that book I'm using to talk about like a bigger thing that annoys me in literature. So this book, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th on the would read again list underneath House Moving Castle, is called Uprooted by Naomi Novik. It's from 2016, and its description is very reminiscent of The Wrath and the Dawn, or what was that book called? The bad one? Dragon Rose, which I didn't like Dragon Rose, but I loved Wrath and the Dawn, so I was worried about this book. Ugh. The reason that it reminded me of that is because in layman's terms, Uprooted is about a girl who gets taken from her home and I think ends up falling in love with her captor. I actually can't tell because the book doesn't end with the two of them being together. So I don't know if they're friends or if he likes her. I haven't decided if I'm reading the next book in the same universe yet. So it's got fairy tale, romance, and high fantasy for genres. The main character's name is Agnieszka, but I'm just gonna call her Agni. So she's living in a village that's dependent on a wizard called the Dragon, and every 10 years he takes a girl to go serve him. And when she comes back, she's different. She doesn't really want to stay in the town, and she wants to leave and stuff like that. He protects the village against something called the Wood, and yeah, so Agni has a best friend, and Agni thinks that her best friend is the one who's going to be taken because I guess it's implied that all the prettiest girls are taken, and Agni doesn't think she's very pretty. I'm pretty sure this book is in first person. It's right over there, but I'm further away from my bookshelf over here, so I don't feel like grabbing it. And yeah, so Agni's best friend's name is Cassia. She will come up again. The Lord, like Dragon, that dude, he's not necessarily a bad person. It's not like he out here killing the girls every sunrise, but no one in the village has any great love for him, which is fine. He doesn't really make himself likable. The way he chooses the girl is that all of the girls above a certain age like line up, and he holds out a blue flame for them to hold, and Agni can hold it, so he takes her because Agni can do magic, which she did not know. But yeah, the dragon is kind of exacerbated with her, but at the same time, Agni doesn't think she has very much worth. So his exacerbation comes from the fact that she doesn't have very much self-confidence. But I mean, I don't know. It's not really explained why Agni doesn't have any self-confidence. It doesn't seem like she was ever particularly bullied. Um, maybe like romantic partners didn't pay that much attention to her, so she just kind of assumed that meant she wasn't very pretty to look at. That's nah, yeah. So, for some reason, the dragon for a moment thought that she was a spy for something and like she was faking, not knowing how to use magic. Agni has no idea what she's talking about, and yeah. So, hang on. Some stuff happens that's kind of unimportant. The reason the dragon also takes the girls, like every girl that he's taken over the last couple of years that he's lived there, is that they've all had the gift. They've all been able to hold the blue flame, and according to the king, anybody with the blue flame has to, and no, anybody with a gift with magic must be taught. The wood is kind of like, I want to say that it's sentient, but it seems more like a mindless parasite. Yeah. And the prince's mother is in the forest. Like the wood is like a literal forest. That's why it's called the wood. And the prince wants her back. And the dragon is like, dude, if you go in there, you're not coming back out. The prince doesn't really care, but so Yeah. Also, people think that Agni is the dragon's wife, so the prince decides that he's going to assault Agni because that was a good idea. And he doesn't succeed because she hits him with something and knocks him out. And the dragon's like, "Bitch, what the fuck did you do?" And Agni's like, "What the fuck was I supposed to do?" Yeah. So, Agni makes herself a comfortable dress. She's a very good seamstress. It's not that she doesn't really like, it's not that she doesn't not want to learn how to use magic. She just doesn't care. So she doesn't see herself as important enough to do that. In case you haven't caught on yet, Agni doesn't really like herself, but whatever. Um Dragon leaves town for a little bit, and I think he has to go like fight a chimera. It doesn't. I don't remember. Something happens in Agni's hometown, so she goes to help. Like the cattle are all sick and stuff like that, and Agni's able to help. And it's at this point that she discovers that the wood wants to literally eat her magic. So that's fun. The dragon turns back up. He's mad, but he got hurt, so she has to help him and fully grasp what her uselessness kind of means. So now she starts taking things a bit more seriously when it comes to her magic. And yeah, so do 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 do. For some reason, her magic works differently from his because she does what magic ought to do and not what she's learned. She's just doing things that feel natural, whereas not Agni, whereas the dragon's just kind of like, I'm gonna do this because magic should do this, and no. So, yeah. Also, remember Cassia? She's been kidnapped. She was taken to the wood, and the dragon doesn't want to help, so Agni goes into the forest by herself. I don't know how he didn't know she was going to do that, given how impulsive she can kind of be already. Um, the, Agni is able to save Cassia. She was literally growing into a tree, like the tree had surrounded her body, and she was growing into the tree. Like if you've played, I think it's Resident Evil 6, the vine monsters, kind of like that. Um, but yeah, so he was able to like burn whatever corruption the wood put in Agni out of her, but because Cassia was a part of a tree, she's kind of different. But Agni will not accept no for an answer, so the dragon has to help her. I promise you, his name is in here somewhere, but I don't remember what it is. But he has a name that's not just the dragon, but I'm just gonna keep calling him that because I don't fucking remember. Um, so, uh, they do like a really, really big spell in order to help Cassia, because the wood is also not what magic ought to do, or it's like corrupted magic. So yeah, uh, but they have to keep Cassia's skin is wooden now, like a part of it, so they have to keep her in the tower, otherwise so people are going to find out. And then if the prince finds out that you can go into the forest and come back and be fine, he's going to want to go get his mother, where the dragon's just like, dude, stop. um and they do eventually figure out, like people start figuring out about Cassia. And also, for some reason, the dragon and Agni nearly have sex. This is what I meant about the love story thing. It doesn't feel deserved. I don't know. He's nicer at the end of this, so I think that's supposed to be like character development. Which if he's like learns to be a decent human being before they actually engage in a relationship, then I guess I'll be fine with that. Um, yeah. So, uh, also non in typical fantasy style, all of the people who don't have magic don't like the people who do have magic, which I don't really understand because they still have court wizards and shit like that, but whatever, I guess. Um, yeah, so they go to find the queen and they find her body, but she's despondent, and the dragon nearly dies, but they're able to heal him. The prince's name is Marek, and he wants his mother back the way she was, but obviously magic in I find it kind of weird that in like every fantasy writer has collectively decided that magic can't heal a state of mind. That's very odd to me. Charmed, this book, fucking, I think it's mentioned at one point in Harry Potter. It's so weird that all these fantasy writers have just magic can't heal a state of mind. A state of, I don't understand what that is, but I mean, I follow that rule when I write, so yeah. Um, I don't really know what goes on when Agni goes to the capital for some reason. I'm not sure what's happening. She stands trial for something. Obviously, she doesn't get arrested because she's the main character. She's got plot armor. Everybody in the castle is really pretentious. Agni is apparently the youngest royal witch because magical training usually takes a lot longer, but again, she's the main character and she does what magic is supposed to do, not what it should do. So of course she can use magic, whatever. Eventually his magic, like the not his magic. Eventually the queen is just fine. I'm pretty sure they also murder the king. I don't know why that happened. And the queen was like kidnapped into the wood, and now they're going to march on another kingdom, and like the wood is doing all of this for some reason, which is also why I think it might be sentient, but I don't know. There's a parasite called cordyceps that like takes over brain, like bugs' brains. So I don't know if it's like a sentient like being or if it's just an intelligent fungus. Um, yeah, I had a really hard time following the action scenes. So the queen might have been tortured into helping the wood. How the wood did this, world's never gonna know. Agni is able to cast like a summoning spell that shows them the truth and the fact that the queen is like, no, she. Also, the prince dies, so now we have no royal family. Um, yeah, so I think they have sex, Dragon and Agni. Um, yeah, the queen is like manipulating everybody, and once the queen is revealed, they're able to get the queen's body away from the wood queen, but the wood queen is still alive, and everything's kind of a mess. And the wood queen killed Marek, and they have to burn her heart tree. I don't really know what happened in chapter 31. Um, Agni can like clear corruption now, like just that's just her thing. She goes home, and Dragon clearly likes her because he comes to a celebration that the village is having, which he doesn't usually do. But that's also why I say that I think it's him learning to be a decent human being, which I can get with. And yeah. I didn't think that Uprooted was as good as Wrath in the Dawn, but it also wasn't as bad as Dragon Rose. But Dragon Rose is Stockholm Syndrome City, so um I put I wrote the sentence. I said it didn't occur to me that the wood is the grave mine from Halo, but it totally is. Yeah. The love feels unearned. There's no tension, no gentleness. They just suddenly kiss. It's unearned completely, 100%. um I was like part of the reason I say that because like even in Hal's Moving Castle, for as much as Sophie doesn't like Hal, she's at least constantly thinking of him. Agni isn't constantly thinking of Dragon in a good way or in a bad way. She's thinking of home and Cassia. Like um he also likes to call her stupid, like a whole lot, which why do female protagonists seem to enjoy boys who call them stupid? The two things that I hate most, one of them I said in Sweet. If I have to chase after you, or like there's the possibility that you might end up with a different person that's not me, I'm instantly unattracted. And also, I don't like it when boys I like call me stupid. So maybe that's just me. Am I the weird one?